Today we are going to talk about something you may have experienced many times without realizing it, those seemingly innocent requests that gradually drain your energy, your peace, and your well-being. Have you ever wondered why after interacting with certain people you feel inexplicably tired? Or why there are situations that, although they seem simple, leave you with a feeling of heaviness or discomfort? You are not imagining things. What you experience is the result of having given in to requests that, deep down, do not respect your personal boundaries. Our emotional and spiritual well-being depends largely on our ability to identify and establish healthy boundaries. When we allow others to cross those invisible yet essential borders, we begin to live a life that does not entirely belong to us. Jacobo Grinberg, in his studies on the nature of perception, suggested that the way we experience reality is deeply connected to our capacity to maintain our energetic integrity. When we allow others to interfere in our energetic field through inappropriate requests, our perception becomes distorted, and we lose contact with our essence. Today I will reveal the 5 most dangerous requests you should never accept, regardless of who makes the request. These are requests that may seem normal at first glance but hide enormous potential to unbalance your life and lead you away from your path of personal development. It is not about becoming insensitive or closed off to others, quite the opposite. It is about learning to give from abundance and not from emptiness, to help without losing yourself in the process, to love without fading away. The journey to a fulfilling life begins with recognizing your intrinsic value and respecting your own vital space. By identifying these 5 requests and learning to respond to them consciously, you will be taking a giant step toward your emotional and spiritual freedom. Get ready to discover these 5 requests that you must identify and handle wisely. I assure you that after this video, you will have a new perspective on your relationships with others and, most importantly, on your relationship with yourself. The first warning sign you should recognize is when someone asks you to assume responsibilities that do not belong to you. This happens more often than you think. It might be the person who constantly comes to you to solve their work problems, the family member who expects you to fix every conflict in their life, or even the friend who somehow always ends up delegating decisions to you that only they should make. These requests often come disguised as urgency or necessity. Only you can help me with this. I don't know what I'd do without you. No one understands my situation like you do. Although these phrases sound like compliments, they are actually subtle ways of transferring responsibilities. When you take on burdens that are not yours, something dangerous happens on an energetic level. Imagine that every person has their own vital field, a space where they manage their experiences and lessons. By carrying other people's problems, you are extending your energy into spaces that do not belong to you, creating a deep imbalance. This imbalance manifests as unexplained exhaustion, a constant feeling of heaviness, and a strange sensation of living problems that are not really yours. Your mind and spirit become saturated, trying to solve equations that were not designed for you. How can you identify when you are facing such a request? Observe your bodily sensations. When someone asks you to take on something that is not your responsibility, you often feel immediate tension in your body, perhaps in your stomach or chest. Your body is wise and warns you when something is not aligned with your well-being. To establish healthy boundaries without feeling guilty, start by remembering that helping someone does not mean doing the work for them. You can offer emotional support, different perspectives, or even resources, but the final responsibility must always remain where it belongs. Practice responding with phrases like, "I understand your situation and I'm here to listen, but this is a problem you need to solve," or, "I support you emotionally but I cannot take this responsibility for you." These responses maintain human connection while setting clear boundaries. Also remember that by solving others' problems, you are often preventing them from developing their own skills and strengths. Every challenge in life comes with a unique and untransferable lesson. If you always solve everything for someone, you rob them of the opportunity to grow. By releasing these foreign burdens, you will notice a surprising change in your vital energy. Suddenly, you will have more mental space for your own projects, more emotional clarity, and a renewed sense of lightness. This is the transformative power of recognizing and honoring your own boundaries. True compassion is not about carrying others' problems but about being present while they find their own way. By setting this fundamental boundary, you not only protect yourself but also allow others to develop their own strength and autonomy. The second request you should stay away from is when someone constantly asks for your resources without real justification. We are not only talking about money, although this is often the most obvious example. We also refer to your time, your personal belongings, your professional contacts, or even your specialized knowledge. These requests often come with a sense of urgency or are accompanied by elaborate stories that awaken your compassion. "It's just this once, I'm in a desperate situation. I will pay you back as soon as I can. However, if you look closely, you will notice a pattern. The emergency never ends and repayment rarely happens. There is a fundamental difference between genuine generosity and what we could call energetic vampirism. Generosity arises from abundance, a genuine desire to share what you have without expectations. It is a free choice that makes you feel fulfilled. In contrast, when you lend resources out of pressure, guilt, or fear, an energetic imbalance is created that deeply affects your well-being. How do you identify when someone is abusing your generosity? Pay attention to the frequency of requests and your emotional reaction when you receive them. If you experience an immediate feeling of heaviness, resistance, or discomfort, your intuition is sending you an important signal. Also observe whether the person shows genuine gratitude or takes your help for granted as if it were an obligation on your part. When you need to set a boundary, remember that you can be firm and kind at the same time. You can say something like, "I value our relationship, but right now I cannot lend that resource," or, "I would like to help you, but I'm not in a position to do so at the moment." You don't need to give lengthy explanations or justify your decision. In balanced relationships, resources flow in both directions. It will not always be a direct or immediate exchange, but there should be a sense of reciprocity over time. If you notice that you are always the giver and never the receiver, that is a clear sign of imbalance. Protecting your resources is not an act of selfishness but of self-love and responsibility. When you set this boundary, you will notice that some people might distance themselves. Although painful, this is a natural purification of your environment. Those who value your essence beyond what you can provide materially will respect your boundaries and remain in your life. Remember that your worth as a human being is not in what you can materially give others but in your authentic presence and genuine connection. By protecting your resources, you honor your path and create space for relationships based on mutual respect and true energetic balance. The third request you should recognize and handle wisely is when you are asked to intervene or mediate in conflicts that are not yours. Perhaps you have found yourself in situations where you are the intermediary between estranged family members, the arbitrator among disagreeing friends, or the messenger between colleagues who don't speak directly. These requests often come disguised as trust. "Only you can talk to both," "I trust your impartiality," "I need you to explain my position because I'm not being heard." Although these words may make you feel valued, in reality, they place you in an energetic battlefield that is not yours. When you accept to mediate in others' conflicts, especially those charged with intense emotions or old resentments, you expose your energetic field to opposing forces. Without realizing it, you begin to absorb the tensions, frustrations, and pains of the involved parties. This phenomenon has an explanation from the perspective of consciousness fields explored by Jacobo Grinberg in his research. According to this view, every conflict generates its own energetic field, a matrix of tensions and patterns. By voluntarily entering that field, your energy intertwines with these conflicting forces, affecting your own emotional and mental stability. Symptoms of absorbing others' conflicts are varied but recognizable: restless dreams related to situations that are not yours, recurring thoughts about how to solve other people's problems, emotional heaviness after interacting with the conflicting parties, or even unexplained physical discomfort. To maintain your inner peace in the face of these requests, it is essential to recognize that each person has their own path of learning and resolution. Conflicts, although painful, are opportunities for growth for those directly involved. By intervening, you may be interrupting important lessons they need to experience. A compassionate but firm response could be, "I understand you're going through a difficult time, but I think it's important that you talk directly about this issue," or "I can listen to you, but I don't feel comfortable mediating in this situation." These responses maintain your emotional support without compromising your well-being. When you decide not to intervene in others' conflicts, you send a clear message. You trust people's ability to resolve their own challenges. This trust is itself a gift of empowerment you offer to those involved. The result of setting this boundary is surprising. Not only do you protect your own well-being, but you also create space for relationships around you to mature and evolve naturally. Often, when you stop being the bridge between conflicting people, they find direct and authentic ways to communicate. Remember that your role in others' lives is not to be the universal problem solver but to be a being who inspires peace and clarity by example. By maintaining this boundary, you cultivate a harmonious energetic field that benefits not only you but everyone who comes into contact with you. The fourth request you need to learn to identify is perhaps one of the most subtle and deeply harmful. When someone asks you to change your essence, your way of being, or your way of perceiving the world. This can manifest as constant suggestions to modify your appearance, criticisms of your personality, questioning of your spiritual beliefs, or pressure to abandon activities you love and that define you. This request rarely comes directly, it usually appears as well-intentioned advice. I'm saying this for your own good, I just want you to fit in better. If you change this, you'd be more accepted. These seemingly harmless phrases can slowly erode your connection to your true self, like drops of water that, over time, wear away even the hardest rock. Your essence is the core of your existence, that unique configuration of energy, talents, perspectives, and potentials that distinguish you as an irreplaceable being in the universe. When you allow others to try to reprogram you, you permit interference. This interference generates deep internal dissonance. When you try to be someone you are not to please external expectations, your energy fragments. Part of you follows the external script while another part, your authentic essence, resists and claims its space. This internal division consumes enormous amounts of vital energy and can manifest as chronic anxiety, a sense of emptiness, or loss of purpose. How can you tell if someone is trying to change your essence? Notice if after interacting with certain people you feel the need to justify your tastes, beliefs, or life decisions. Pay attention if you catch yourself thinking, I should be more, or I should be less. These are often signs that you are internalizing external expectations that do not resonate with your inner truth. To strengthen your authenticity against these pressures, cultivate moments of connection with your essential self through practices like meditation, reflective writing, or creative activities that allow you to express yourself freely. These sacred spaces will help you distinguish your inner voice from the external voices trying to shape you. When someone tries to change you, you can respond firmly and kindly, I appreciate your concern, but I feel comfortable with who I am, or, I understand your perspective, but this part of me is important to my identity. You don't need to enter into debates or elaborate justifications. Your authenticity requires no defense. There is a deep connection between your authenticity and your life purpose. Every genuine aspect of yourself is a piece of the puzzle of your mission in this life. When you artificially modify these pieces to please others, the whole picture becomes distorted, and you lose sight of the path your soul has chosen to walk. Always remember that those who truly value you will not try to change you but will celebrate your uniqueness. Those who attempt to mold you according to their expectations are not responding to your true self but to their own insecurities and limitations. Your task is not to adapt to those expectations but to remain faithful to your essence and attract relationships that honor your truth. The fifth and final request you must recognize is when someone expects you to constantly prioritize their feelings above your own. This dynamic manifests when you are made to feel responsible for others' emotional well-being, requiring you to adapt your actions, decisions, and even your own emotions to maintain their comfort. This request is often wrapped in manipulative phrases like, "It hurts me that you think that way, if you really cared about me you wouldn't make me feel bad," or, "After all I've done for you." These expressions trigger guilt feelings that can lead you to sacrifice your emotional truth to keep the peace or avoid rejection. Emotional manipulation is particularly insidious because it operates in the invisible realm of feelings. It uses guilt as its main tool to control your actions, creating a prison without physical bars but equally restrictive. In this dynamic, your own emotions become secondary or even invisible compared to the emotional needs of the other person. It is crucial to understand that you are not responsible for others' feelings. Every human being has their own emotional universe and the responsibility to manage it. You can be compassionate and considerate without becoming the emotional manager of others. This understanding frees both you and the other person, allowing for a more authentic and balanced relationship. There is a crucial difference between healthy empathy and emotional absorption. Empathy allows you to understand and resonate with others' feelings while maintaining your center. Absorption, on the other hand, makes you take on others' emotions as your own, blurring the boundaries between your experience and theirs. This energetic confusion can leave you exhausted, confused, and disconnected from your own feelings. To cultivate your emotional self-care, start by recognizing and validating your own feelings. Regularly ask yourself, how do I really feel in this situation? Take time to listen to your inner response before reacting to external emotional demands. Practice expressions that honor both your truth and the other person's experience, such as, I understand this affects you, but I also need to honor what I feel, or your feelings are important to me, just as my own emotional well-being is. These phrases establish a balance that respects both experiences without subordinating yours. Self-love is not selfishness but the recognition of your inherent value. By prioritizing your emotional well-being, you are not rejecting others but offering them the opportunity to relate to your authentic self. This authenticity is paradoxically the greatest gift you can offer in any relationship. Remember that your emotions are internal compasses that guide you toward your truth. When you allow them to be silenced or invalidated, you lose contact with your inner wisdom. Protecting your emotional space is not an act of isolation but a reverence for this vital navigation system that connects you with your deepest purpose. Recognizing these 5 dangerous requests marks the beginning of a profound transformation in your life. Setting boundaries is not an act of rejection toward others but a gesture of love toward yourself. By protecting yourself from foreign responsibilities, unjustified loans, conflicts that are not yours, attempts to change your essence, or emotional manipulations, you honor your unique path. Remember, your energy is sacred and deserves to be preserved. The greatest gift you can give yourself is the permission to live authentically, peacefully, and fully. Are you ready to begin this journey of self-discovery and energetic protection?